Welcome to Bookshare Audio. Today, we are exploring the inspiring and life-changing book, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. This powerful self-development book teaches one of the simplest yet most transformative ideas for improving your life, relationships, mindset, and emotional well-being. Stop trying to control other people and start focusing on yourself. Through personal stories, psychological insights, practical advice, and emotional honesty, Mel Robbins explains how two simple words, let them, can free us from stress, anxiety, overthinking, people-pleasing, and emotional exhaustion. The book is not just about personal growth. It is about reclaiming peace, protecting your energy, and learning how to live life on your own terms. At its core, the Let Them theory teaches that much of our unhappiness comes from trying to control things we cannot control, especially other people. We constantly worry about what others think of us, how they behave, whether they approve of us, whether they invite us, include us, support us, or validate us. According to Mel Robbins, this endless attempt to manage people and situations drains our energy and steals our happiness. One of the most powerful aspects of the book is how personal and honest Mel Robbins is about her own struggles. She begins by sharing a difficult period in her life when she was 41 years old, deeply in debt, unemployed, overwhelmed, and emotionally exhausted. Her husband's restaurant business was failing, the family was drowning in financial stress, and she felt completely lost. She describes waking up every morning filled with anxiety and hopelessness, avoiding responsibilities, procrastinating, and feeling trapped in fear and self-doubt. This vulnerability makes the book deeply relatable because many readers have experienced similar emotions at some point in life, feeling stuck, overwhelmed, insecure, or emotionally exhausted. Mel Robbins explains that during this dark period, she discovered the 5-second rule, a simple countdown technique that helped her force herself into action despite fear and anxiety. By counting backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, she learned how to interrupt overthinking and push herself to act. This earlier discovery eventually transformed her life, career, and mindset. However, the Let Them theory introduces a different realization, one that changed not only her relationship with herself, but her relationship with other people. Mel Robbins explains that even after learning how to motivate herself, she still struggled emotionally because she was spending too much energy trying to manage. Please control and worry about other people. She realized that much of her stress did not come from life itself, but from trying to control how others behaved, what they thought, and how they felt about her. This realization became the foundation of the Let Them theory. The central idea of the theory is incredibly simple. When people behave in ways you dislike, disagree with, or cannot control, instead of resisting, stressing, arguing, obsessing, or trying to change them, simply say, let them. If people want to criticize you, let them. If they do not invite you somewhere, let them. If they misunderstand you, let them. If they leave, let them. If they disagree with your choices, let them. If they judge you, let them. These two words become a powerful emotional tool that helps release the exhausting need to manage everything and everyone around us. One of the most memorable stories in the book takes place during her son Oakley's high school prom. Like many parents, Mel Robbins became emotionally invested in making the event perfect. She worried about the flowers, dinner reservations, weather, clothes, and plans. When she saw her son and his friends making last-minute decisions that seemed disorganized and chaotic, she immediately tried to take control. However, her daughter Kendall interrupted her and said something that changed everything. "Mom, let them. Let them go where they want. Let them get wet in the rain. Let them eat tacos before prom. Let them make their own choices." In that moment, Mel Robbins experienced an emotional shift. The stress, tension, and anxiety she was carrying immediately softened because she stopped trying to control something that was not hers to control. This scene becomes symbolic for the entire book. The author explains that people spend enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to control situations that belong to other people. Parents try to control children. Partners try to control each other. Friends try to manage friendships. Employees try to control co-workers' opinions. Individuals constantly adjust themselves, hoping to gain approval from others. But according to Mel Robbins, this behavior creates emotional suffering because true control over others is impossible. Another major theme in the book is people-pleasing. Mel Robbins explains that many people are emotionally exhausted because they constantly seek validation and approval. They shape their lives around avoiding rejection, criticism, or disappointment from others. They overthink conversations, fear judgment, avoid conflict, and sacrifice their own happiness to keep everyone else comfortable. This creates anxiety, resentment, and emotional burnout. The book teaches that much of this behavior comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of failure, fear of not being liked, fear of abandonment. Humans naturally want acceptance and belonging. However, Mel Robbins argues that constantly trying to earn approval gives away personal power. Instead of living authentically, people begin living according to others' expectations. The let them mindset changes this dynamic completely. Rather than trying to force people to understand, approve, or behave differently, the theory encourages emotional freedom. You stop fighting reality and begin accepting that people will think, feel, and behave according to their own perspectives and experiences. One of the strongest lessons in the book is that you cannot control another person's emotions, opinions, or actions. You cannot control who likes you, who supports you, who leaves you, who misunderstands you, or who chooses you. But you can control your own reactions, boundaries, choices, mindset, and actions. This shift from external control to internal control is one of the most powerful psychological lessons in the book. Mel Robbins also explains that trying to control people often damages relationships. When you constantly try to fix, manage, or change others, they feel judged, pressured, or manipulated. Relationships improve when people are allowed to be themselves. This does not mean tolerating abuse or unhealthy behavior. Instead, it means accepting reality clearly and honestly. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, let them show you who they are. If someone does not prioritize you, let them. If someone refuses to grow, let them. Then you decide what you will do next. This is where the second part of the theory becomes important. Let me. The book explains that let them is only half of the process. After letting others behave as they choose, you then ask, let me do what is best for me. Let me protect my peace. Let me walk away. Let me focus on my goals. Let me create healthier boundaries. Let me stop chasing approval. Let me choose myself. This balance between let them and let me transforms the theory from passive acceptance into empowered action. Another important section of the book discusses friendship and social rejection. Mel Robbins shares a painful experience when she discovered that a group of longtime friends had gone on a trip without inviting her. Like many people would, she immediately felt hurt, insecure, rejected, and anxious. She began overthinking the situation and questioning whether she had done something wrong. However, instead of spiraling emotionally, she practiced the let them mindset. Let them go on the trip. Let them spend time together. Let them make their choices. Through this process, she realized something important. Other people's decisions are not always personal attacks against you. Sometimes friendships naturally evolve, shift, or fade over time. The pain often comes not from reality itself, but from the stories we create in our minds about what rejection means. This lesson is especially meaningful in today's world of social media, where people constantly compare themselves to others and feel excluded, judged, or inadequate. Mel Robbins explains that social media amplifies emotional insecurity because people constantly see curated images of happiness, success, beauty, and belonging. It becomes easy to believe everyone else is living a better life. The let them theory becomes a powerful emotional defense against this comparison trap. If people post perfect photos online, let them. If others achieve success faster, let them. If someone does not understand your journey, let them. Your life does not need validation from others to have meaning. The book also explores relationships and dating. One of the most valuable lessons is that when someone shows you who They truly are, believe them. If a person is inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, disrespectful, dishonest, or unwilling to commit, stop trying to force them into becoming who you want them to be. Let them be who they are. This message encourages emotional maturity and self-respect. Instead of chasing unavailable people or trying to earn love through sacrifice and overfunctioning, the book teaches readers to observe behavior honestly and make healthier choices. Another major topic is stress and emotional overwhelm. Mel Robbins argues that modern people carry enormous emotional stress because they constantly feel responsible for managing everyone and everything around them. Parents try to solve children's problems. Partners carry emotional burdens for each other. Friends absorb everyone's emotions. Workers feel pressure to satisfy impossible expectations. Eventually, this creates burnout. The let them mindset reduces emotional overload by teaching healthy detachment. This concept connects strongly to Stoicism, Buddhism, radical acceptance, and psychological detachment theory, all of which Mel Robbins references throughout the book. Stoicism teaches focusing only on what you can control. Buddhism teaches releasing attachment and accepting reality. Radical acceptance teaches emotional peace through accepting situations as they are, rather than resisting them. Mel Robbins translates these ancient philosophical ideas into a modern, simple, easy-to-remember tool that anyone can apply daily. One reason the book became so popular is because the phrase "let them" is incredibly memorable and practical. People can use it instantly during stressful situations. Traffic jam? Let them. Rude coworker? Let them. Family judgment? Let them. Online criticism? Let them. The phrase creates emotional distance between the situation and your reaction. Instead of immediately becoming emotionally overwhelmed, you pause, release control, and redirect your focus inward. Another important point in the book is that emotional freedom requires boundaries. Many people misunderstand kindness as constantly sacrificing themselves for others. However, Mel Robbins explains that healthy relationships require self-respect, boundaries, and emotional clarity. You cannot constantly abandon yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. The book repeatedly encourages readers to stop abandoning their own needs, dreams, and well-being simply to avoid disappointing others. This message is especially empowering for people who struggle with anxiety, overthinking, perfectionism, or people-pleasing tendencies. One of the most inspiring parts of the book is Mel Robbins' honesty about personal transformation. She repeatedly reminds readers that change does not happen through one dramatic moment. Instead, it happens through small, consistent actions over time. Her own success story, from financial collapse and emotional despair to becoming one of the world's most influential motivational speakers and podcast hosts, demonstrates the power of mindset, action, resilience, and emotional growth. However, the book never feels arrogant or unrealistic. Instead, it feels deeply human. Mel Robbins openly discusses insecurity, rejection, fear, embarrassment, and emotional pain in ways that make readers feel understood rather than judged. The writing style is conversational, relatable, motivational, and emotionally engaging. Instead of sounding academic or complicated, the book feels like honest advice from someone who genuinely understands human struggles. In conclusion, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins is a powerful and transformative book about emotional freedom, personal growth, self-respect, relationships, and inner peace. It teaches readers one of the most valuable life lessons possible. Stop trying to control other people and start focusing on yourself. The main lessons of the book include: you cannot control other people. Trying to control others creates stress and unhappiness. People-pleasing drains emotional energy. Your worth does not depend on others' approval. Healthy boundaries protect peace and self-respect. Acceptance creates emotional freedom. Small mindset shifts can transform your entire life. Let them releases control. Let me empowers personal action. This book is highly recommended for anyone struggling with anxiety, overthinking, stress, rejection, people-pleasing, difficult relationships, emotional exhaustion, or fear of judgment. It is a practical guide for building emotional resilience and reclaiming personal power in a world full of Pressure and Expectations. Thank you so much for listening to this long essay and summary by Bookshare Audio. If you enjoyed this audiobook style summary and want more inspiring book reviews, self-improvement content, and life-changing lessons, please like, share, and subscribe to Bookshare Audio. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful books and meaningful ideas to listeners around the world. See you again in the next Bookshare Audio summary.